Hi, this is Tanya, and this is my channel, Tea Talks 93. So I wanted to review season 2 of Sister Wives. I did season 1 before. You can go and look up that episode. I do want to make a couple of corrections from season 1. One of the viewers did mention that there was a couple things that I need to clarify. So the first one, I talked about Janelle camping at, I thought it was Mary's family's place, but in the book it kind of is very close together when she's talking about how close she is with Mary and them going on different trips and visiting different people within their religion. And then it talks about Janelle camping. Actually, it was at Cody's dad's place, Wynn's place. So that makes a little bit more sense because Cheryl, Janelle's mom, ended up being married to Wynn, who is Cody's dad. So that makes more sense. Thank you for bringing that up. The next thing is Leon's pronouns. I did not mean to mix up Leon's pronouns. I think maybe watching the show and then talking about it when, you know, they had their quote dead name and then transitioning to Leon, I was just thinking that they had transitioned to he, him. That is not true. They go by they, them. I am an ally, so I apologize for that. If Leon ever sees that, then I wholeheartedly apologize. The third thing, Mary did mention in season 1, episode 8, when they were in the tell-all, that she did get fired from one of her jobs because I guess because the show was out and the fact that she was polygamous was politicized, or excuse me, publicized. So then she got fired. And this makes a little bit of sense because if you're working for a facility who deals with mental health crises and that kind of thing, and you have people who are vulnerable coming to you, you don't want a bunch of paparazzi out, you know, intervening and preventing these people from getting their help. So thank you for bringing that up as well. And then the fourth thing that this person did mention was that in my mind, I was thinking that Christine was younger. The way she talked about her mom leaving, it made me think she was younger than she was when her mom actually divorced her dad. They divorced when Christine was actually 19. So I did go back and look at that, but it just seemed like she was so much younger the way she talked. But you know, I guess it doesn't matter at any age. It can still break your heart when your parents separate, right? So that makes sense. So on to season 2. It talks about on episode 1, the Browns out of hiding is what it is, and that's they're coming out more publicly even than season 1. They're still in Utah at this time. The Browns plan to go to New York City to be on the Today Show, so it starts out talking about that a little bit, but that doesn't come till the end of that episode. They talk about polygamy and it being part of a lifestyle, which is kind of debatable. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a different way of living, but it also is tied to religion. It's tied to the fundamental Mormon religion specifically. So not many people practice polygamy without a religion attached to it. There are a couple shows that are coming out where men are seeking more wives, and it just doesn't seem to work out in my mind. This is my opinion. It just doesn't seem to work out at all if there's not religion and the need to what they think is get to the celestial kingdom. The third tier of heaven is what the Mormons believe, that you have to have at least 3 wives in some religions, is what I understand. So I have a little issue of them calling it a lifestyle, but I guess that is the way they're running their lives. I was also this week looking at some of the things Mykelti has said on her Patreon. I follow Mykelti. I think she's a sweetheart. I know a lot of people give her heck because she is still a proponent for Robin. She's still good friends with Robin, even though Robin seems to have caused her mother, Christine, a lot of heartache and problems between her and Cody. So a lot of us think that Robin, Cody favoring Robin, and even Christine has said it, that has put the wedge in their marriage at the time, and that's why they probably divorced, is because Christine saw that Robin was preferred and she was not. So they split up. But Mykelti mentioned that when she, before Robin married Cody and when she was still living in Lehi, Utah, Mykelti stayed with her until her 8th grade was finished. She was still within the private school that the kids were attending through the AUB. It was kind of some of the moms and some teachers that had teacher degrees, I guess, put this small school together for the kids that were in their religion to go to. But she mentioned that she would email her teachers back and forth to hand in her assignments and that kind of thing. So it's not like the online schools that we attend now, where everything, we have a whole platform online that we can get, do our homework, answer questions. It has the books on there sometimes. It wasn't like that. It was mostly like emails back and forth to her teacher, she said. I thought that was pretty interesting. And this was in light of the kids. They were talking about going to the public school, so they had been attending that private school. So the rest of the kids in Lehi were getting ready to go to like the junior highs and the elementaries and high schools there in Lehi. And they talked about how, worried they were that maybe they wouldn't fit in, and what was going to happen if some of the friends or teachers found out that they were polygamous. Were they going to be ostracized, that kind of thing. They didn't know how it was going to go, and the mothers were concerned as well. So it seemed like it actually went okay, and some of the kids actually were like, oh, you're a polygamist? That's cool. And I don't think the kids actually knew what it was, but they talked about that. And then Janelle in that episode talks about when she went to fill out the emergency contacts on the forms that the school gives them, then she puts Mary, Christine, and Robin as aunts. So I guess that is, is what they usually would do in the AUB culture, so that people don't say, oh my gosh, polygamous. But Christine was very proud, and she said, no, I put other mother, other mother, other mother. So she was so happy that she could come out as a polygamist and not be fearful of people finding out. Then it gets to where Christine, so Logan, I specifically remember Logan talking about him coming home after school, and kids, when they come home, they're like, I'm hungry, I need a snack. And he'd go over to Christine's house because he knew that's where the good food was. So you could see that Christine was the homemaker. Christine is the one that made the food for them and cared for them, like as the main caregiving mother, the main nurturing mother. And then Janelle was like, yeah, it's great. I go over there and I get snacks from Christine too, because there's not much good in my refrigerator. I'm at work all the time, so I go to Christine's because I know she's got something. So I thought that was pretty nice. And you can already see like Janelle appreciates Christine even way back in season 2 from this episode. And then it talks about, and you can see like the family decides to go ice blocking. So they get some like large cubes of ice, and they go up on the hill and sit on them. It looks like they have a towel. I can't figure out how they got the towel wrapped around, maybe around the sides of it, and then they hold on to that as they're sliding down the hills on the grass, doing this ice blocking. It actually looks pretty fun. And Mykelti, when she was on Patreon, actually said she was going to try that, and I may do that sometime too, because it sounds pretty cool, but we'll see. And then in this episode, of course, they're gearing up to go to New York City, and then Cody's talking about how, yeah, our religion, nobody really knew a lot about it, and then with the show coming out, he's like, I want to be transparent and have people see what actually goes on, so that people aren't concerned and aren't fearful of what our lifestyle, which religion, that they abide by. So, and then they talk about how Cheryl, which is Janelle's mom, is going to come stay and watch her kids. And then Janelle, which is Cody's mom, is going to help out, I guess, through all the households, probably with Mary's child, Leon. And then Annie, Christine's mom, is going to come stay for her kids and take care of them. And then they mentioned that the older kids would be able to help. Like we saw like Logan cooking breakfast for them on season 1, and we've seen Aspen getting the kids up for school and that kind of thing. So, and there's been some mention here and there about kids being parentified, these older kids, and some of the things that they can have difficulty in if kids are parentified like that. Can be like difficulty understanding their own needs and desires and boundaries, and then it's considered a type of emotional abuse, and then they bring like parenting in all their relationships. They have a hard time differentiating like authority kind of, because they try to mother or parent the person that they are supposed to be having a partnership or be in love with, that kind of thing. These are people pleasers. They are always trying to please the parents. They're almost like perfectionists. I have seen in my own family generations ago that the older kids have more of an authority over the younger kids, and so the younger kids are like, you're my sister, and they're like, well, yeah, but I have authority over you. I can tell you what to do because I have been given this by my parent. And then sometimes the parents will be like, no, you don't have the authority, I'm here now. So it's kind of hard to split it, but these kids seem to have come to terms with that, and they seem like really good kids, but it makes you wonder how they really feel. You know, they don't talk a lot about this themselves. A lot of it's just speculations on the different posts and things like that. So Mykelti was talking about how she was happy when Annie came to help with the kids. Mykelti mentioned that this was about the time that Annie, who is Christine's mom, and Christine were really trying to repair their relationship after they were divorced. So that was like 15 years they had been married, I think. So that's like, she'd been like what, 43 or 44 at this time, so that's like 15 years go by. So I guess they're starting to get through their issues together, so that's pretty cool that Annie's taking some or giving some help for the kids and spending some time with her grandchildren, so that's cool. So then they went to New York, and they the main one that they were so excited about was the Today Show with Meredith Ferreira, and then they had another interview with Joy Behar at I think it was Viewpoint. It was really hard for me to figure out which show that was because it was not the one she's currently on. And then they had a few other interviews as well. And Mykelti asked us, do we think that the fans felt betrayed because the family acted happy and they were putting their best foot forward? So I think possibly yes. Like they were, glossing over the problems. So while I understand, when you're in public, even your kids, like when you have little kids, you're like, behave in public, you can't act like you do at home. I think it was kind of like that, but we also wanted to know the truth, right? So it was also not completely truthful, because as we know now, like Cody and Mary were having problems, and then it looks like this is maybe the start of when Christine and him were really having problems. It looked like him and Janelle were getting along pretty good at that time. So, but I can kind of see the issues in this episode between him and Mary and him, or these 2 seasons rather, him and Mary and him and Christine, even back in the beginning. So so then they went to Central Park, and they were taking pictures, and they looked so happy, and they were joking around. And then I thought it was kind of nasty comments toward Christine. They're like, Mary's a good photo taker and Christine just sucks. And then they show Mary's photos versus Christine's photos. And you can see like Mary wanted the up close ones that made it look like they were really close people, right? And then Christine wanted the view because they were in Central Park. And you kind of want to like say, hey, we're in Central Park, we're in the middle of it. So I don't see why they can't take both. Take close-ups and take the ones with the view on it too. I don't know why it was such a big deal, but it was kind of little nasty jibes, it seemed like, towards Christine. And I don't know why that was really necessary. And then Mykelti on her show talked about how, you know, generally, especially like all 5 of the adults had left, and so their parents came to take care of the kids. And she said that before the show, they didn't have the finances to do that. They may go on like short trips here and there with each individual couple, like Cody and Mary, or Cody and Janelle, or Cody and Christine. And then, you know, by this time, Robin, when she's in the picture, they're on the show. So they can afford to do a little bit more. And that's why she got the big wedding. And that's why she got to go on the long trip and that kind of thing. So that is a good point. And when they get back from New York City, you know, they're telling their kids over the phone, hey, don't look at the tabloids, don't look on the blogs, that kind of thing, because there's a lot of, you get both, right? You get positive and negative responses from people, especially when it's something like polygamy and it's so controversial, right? So they were just like, don't watch it. And it looked like Madison had seen a couple of blogs that were very nasty toward her parents, and it upset her a little bit from what we could see. I don't know if she was more upset than she showed us, but even today we can see how, you know, people are like really nasty to all the adults. And then they've said a few things even about Mykelti because of her relationship, and she's trying to keep her relationship going well with all of the adults except for Mary. Though she does say that she wishes Mary well, she just doesn't want to have a relationship with her. But everyone else, she has a good relationship with Robin, and then she tries very hard with Cody. Cody can be difficult, as we all know. And then she's got a very good relationship with Christine and Janelle, of course. The cameras started coming around when they were at home, and the kids started saying, hey, we're seeing people outside our home taking pictures, filming, waiting for us to come outside, trying to get a scoop, you know. And that's about the time where the police start investigating them because of they say polygamy. They start investigating them to see if they're doing anything wrong that they can send to the county to prosecute, right? So oftentimes, as some of us know, with polygamy comes fraud, like are they claiming all the kids on taxes and that kind of thing? Are they going to get access, it would be Medicaid, or are they getting food stamps? Are they not claiming Cody's income because he's the father? Those kinds of things. So they're investigating that, and it doesn't seem like they really come up with anything, because if they did, they would have arrested them. And then the point of, you know, if they arrest Cody or the wives, any of them, for polygamy by itself, although that was a federal offense at that time. It's no longer a federal offense, it's a misdemeanor now, but it was a felony at the time to live polygamy. But again, you know, they're saying even though they're not legally married, they are living as though they're married. So is that something we could arrest them for? But in my mind, if you're going to arrest them, then you got 700 or 7,500 at least, and some say even as much as over 10,000 Kingstons living right there under your umbrella, Salt Lake City. And then, are you going to arrest all of them? Are you going to arrest the entire AUB, who compromises also over 10,000 people, they think? And then also the Jeffs clan, 10,000 more people. So you're going to arrest all 30,000 people and prosecute them for polygamy, even though they are not legally married. So in my mind, that would draw the line, is are they legally married or not? But also, if you're getting married as adults, or practicing polygamy, getting spiritually married as adults, that's your prerogative. That's your choice. But if there's other illegal things going on, the fraud, the basically statutory RAPE, different things like that, if you're not given the women choices, or the young, like I said, Utah, their legal age of consenting yourself is 18, but a parent can consent at 16 for you. So as long as they're not forcing you and you're consenting yourself, it's up to you how you live your life, in my mind. But if you're being forced or coerced or anything like that, I think you should be able to have police involvement and get someone to defend you against that. And then you should be able to make your own choices and, get some help if that were to occur. That's my opinion. And McKelty mentioned that, the Browns, the adults, they had paparazzi follow them everywhere. They were highly politicized, or sorry, I keep saying that, publicized. So they had people following them all the time. And she was saying how her grandparents, nobody really cared. They lived in Wyoming. They were, generation older. They didn't have any young kids, and they were more secretive even when they were younger. So nobody really investigated them or followed them around to take pictures, that kind of thing. So, and then I guess even after the Browns were publicized, they really didn't have a lot of people coming and bothering them either. It's kind of hard to get to some of those places in Utah without somebody finding out and getting a good story. People hide, especially if they're in the woods, or in the on ranches and things like that. It's easier to hide than if you're in the city where the Browns lived. Then they were talking at the end. They were being asked if the women, Mary, Robin, Janelle, and Christine, if they would choose polygamy again. And Mary, Robin, and Janelle pretty much said, yes, we would do this again. This is wonderful. I enjoy this. And then I guess Christine, in light of everything that was going on and all the concerns that she had, she was like, I don't know. I don't know if I would again, because this is a lot going on. She also has mentioned multiple times that she didn't realize how jealous and upset she would be when Robin came into the picture. And, Christine, and from what I've seen, and, it's my opinion again, she seemed like she got a lot of attention. She was the last wife, the third wife for so long, 15 years. She was the third wife, last wife. She got so much attention, and she was having the last baby, and she was, was probably very happy. And then this woman comes along and takes that away from her, and she's not the one that has got all the attention anymore, because we have a younger model, basically, which is really sad for her, I feel. So then episode 2, it was the Free Range Browns. So that's when they went to Wyoming to visit Cody's dad and Janelle's mom in Wyoming. So Cody's dad, Wynn, had a large ranch in Lovell, Wyoming, which is about 8-hour drive from Lehi, where they were living at the time. And they drove with 21 people. Everybody but Janelle, Hunter, and Cody went the night before, and then those 3 were supposed to go the next day. Robin has trouble with her vehicle. They end up having to rent a big polygamy van and took it, and then that was fine. But they were, driving cattle, and they were learning how to do a lot of the stuff that bake bread and do things that they do on ranches. And I guess it's the first time that Robin and her kids went to Wynn's ranch. And then Cody talks in this episode about he was raised in the mainstream LDS, until he was of age to go to the mission trip, which he was on the mission trip when his mother, Janelle, is like reviewing different religious faiths and within their Mormonism, and she decides that it is better to live polygamy, and so she and her husband Wynn decide to find another wife, and they do have another wife. I believe her name is Bobby, is what I found. We don't see a lot of Bobby because she did not want to be publicized at all. She wanted to keep it quiet, and but Janelle, being Janelle's mom, decided that she would, talk. That's probably in light of Janelle speaking out on her polygamy beliefs. So, yeah, Cheryl's Janelle's mom. So then they were talking about helping Wynn, and they were painting the house for Janelle, which is Cody's mom. And they were driving cattle to vaccinate them. The kids were helping. They were talking about how the boys would come in the summer and help Wynn on the farm. And then Cody mentioned, if you don't work, you don't eat around here. So I kind of grew up in that kind of belief as well. I grew up on a farm in Arkansas, and we had to, dig potatoes, and we had to pick the garden. We had to, shovel horse manure and different things like that. So I understand what he's saying. And I got that line used on me many times. If you don't work, you don't eat. So it's a different way of life for sure. When we have things in the city that are readily available, and then in the country, you have what you grow or what you raise. So if you have cows or chickens or pigs or whatever, but if you have to grow it, you definitely have more of a respect for what you have, I think. Janelle talks about the spokes in the wheel, and we hear this a few times throughout the seasons. Janelle says, she was upset. She's the one that brought the religion into the family, but she was upset when they got the first wife because she had to share, like most women would not want to share their husband. But she says the more wives you have, the more spokes in the wheel, and the stronger it is. But as a monogamous person, I feel like it just detracts from your personal relationship with your husband. The more wives you have, it's harder to handle, and your attention gets split, and I actually think it makes it weaker. But that is my opinion. Cheryl talks about getting to know him when Janelle went to visit with Cody and Mary. And then they got married because they fell in love, she and Wynn. And then she actually changed her faith at that time as well. She was an LDS, Janelle was an LDS, and Cheryl was an LDS, and they changed faith whenever Cheryl got married to Wynn. So then they talked about, Mykelti, she starts riding a horse, and all the people are like, we told her not to get on the horse, it wasn't safe, and so she does it anyway, and she falls off and it hurts her left hip, and she ended up having to go to a chiropractor. Mykelti did say that she still has to get adjusted twice a year since that incident. So she says, I was just out of alignment, but I've had problems ever since. And then, Mykelti's had twins since then, and that just added to the problems. But I, as a healthcare worker, and I've done taken trauma classes, and if you have somebody fall off a horse, that's a trauma. And you go to the ER. Usually we would call an ambulance, because if you move things out of alignment, you can cause more problems. If she's bleeding, she needs a CAT scan. Chiropractors, from what I know, they may have an x-ray machine, so maybe they did x-rays when she went to the chiropractor, because that's where they chose to take her, instead of I guess there's a North Bighorn Hospital that has a ER that's not too far away from them. So instead of taking her there, they took her to some chiropractor, and thank goodness that she was okay, because that could have ended very badly if something was broken, because you could have like a hairline fracture, or in your pelvis or something like that, and then if you move it, you can't walk, and it could be permanent. So if anybody ever has a trauma like that, it's important to get them to the ER, and by ambulance would be better, because they have the appropriate equipment to safely move people. Anyway, she ended up going to the chiropractor, and she ended up just having large bruising and soreness, and ended up doing okay after that, other than, like she said, still having adjustment problems. Cheryl talks about Christine's siblings not being able to claim their dad. So Christine's dad had more wives as well, and Christine's mom was the first wife. So Christine and her full-blood siblings got to keep their last name, and then, which is Allred. And then I guess the ones from the next wives, 2, 3, whatever, they usually will either keep the mother's name, or some of the religions will make up a last name for the father, that kind of thing. I don't know what they did, because they don't talk about it. It would be interesting to see if that's the case, but they don't mention it. But Christine was very happy that her kids didn't have to, because she is a third wife, so she doesn't legally, or the kids are not, they're illegitimate technically, but she put their names on their birth certificate, so they don't have to hide. And then going out in public kind of resolved that issue, she felt, keeping it open, and not hiding things. Then they go, and they're on these, I can't remember what park it is, but they go to the park with all the kids, and the OG3 is what we call them, right? The OG3 kids were crawling all over the rocks, and these were really high up there, and if one of the kids slipped and fell, they could have broken something, or like they could have passed away from falling and hitting their head or something. So Robin was really freaked out about this, and she was like, my kids don't need to be up there. So you can tell like the difference between the OG3 kids and Robin's kids. Robin's kids were more, I think Robin was a little bit overprotective, and in my opinion, because I have an autistic child, I think this may stem from that, because Dayton is autistic, and it requires a lot more hands-on and safety concerns, because some of the autistic people, like my child, has no sense of boundaries. I mean, my child has snuck away and climbed on things they shouldn't have, and so Robin seems to be a little bit of what they call a helicopter mom. And then you can see it in the girls too, because I don't mean to judge, I mean, but I kind of wonder if some of their anxiety that you see all through the seasons, and especially these last 2 or 3 seasons, when the girls are crying over things that you're like, why are you crying? They seem to have a lot of emotional needs. They seem to be afraid of making mistakes. They seem kind of anxious. So I kind of wonder if that plays a part of it, but that's just a question I have. It doesn't mean that it's a fact. So episode 3 was the price of polygamy. Janelle and Cody, this is the one where they go camping together. They take some time off together. They go to Arches National Park to get away. They have that whole sleeping bag debate, and Janelle talks about how, she has to have a job and she's the main one that watches the finances, and she doesn't see why, if this can serve a purpose, why do we need to go buy a new blanket or a new sleeping bag or whatever? We can just use the one we have. And Cody's like, no, I want new stuff. And you can kind of see that Cody's kind of particular, and he likes the pretty things, and we find out later that he likes expensive things. So at this time, though, they're just now getting the show started, so their finances probably haven't really gotten a whole lot better yet. So I'm sure that she's wanting to be careful and not spend money faster than they make it, so to speak. Robin talks about wanting to help take care of the kids, and then she wants to prove her value because she at this time has moved up to Lehigh, and she's not got a job there, and she's like, I am costing money, and I know Janelle is concerned about the price of 4 more mouths to feed, that kind of thing, and she's just wanting to help Christine with the kids. And make sure that they know that she's, worth taking into the family, is what it seems like. And then they talk about how Cody and Janelle are the main breadwinners. They have the highest paid jobs in the family, so they take care of the big item bills like the house and the cars and things like that. And then Mary was talking about how she has a part-time job, so she doesn't make as much, so she kind of tries to balance like doing some work with helping with the kids and that kind of thing. And she pays the smaller bills, she said, so probably like the water bill and things like that, I would think. Yeah, so we can tell like the show obviously saved them financially. They talked about eating older bread. The kids have talked about that before, and not having things readily available to them. Christine talks about stocking things up, and you see through the seasons, they have the like the cellars or the closets that have a bunch of bulk items that they purchase, so that they don't have to spend a lot of money at the store for a long time. So overall savings instead of buying weekly like a lot of us do. And it made me think, like, when they were so concerned about Robin and the 4 new mouths coming and worrying about finances and that kind of thing, I just don't understand why they didn't all of the adults, Robin included, sit down and figure out how it was going to work before they brought her in the first place. Seems irresponsible to just bring her in and see what happens. So that's a little scary, it would be to me. But I can also see on the flip side that they knew that this show was coming, and that they would be paid a lot more money, and if it went well, then they could keep going with different seasons and make more money, and then they should be probably financially set, which is good for them that it did happen that way, even though there was a lot of emotional and social issues that happened throughout the series. Their finances did improve, so that's good. Christine and Janelle talking about, they talk about buying in bulk, and Janelle made the comment like, we don't buy our meat by pound, we buy it by half calf or whatever, by the half, I think she just said. So they definitely were very fixated on saving as much money and making things last, and making what they have go as far as it could. Janelle and Cody, it shows them camping, and Janelle talks about how their relationship goes very well when it's just the two of them. So they Janelle's a camper. She likes to be out in nature. All through the series, you can see that she prefers to be like on a ranch or a farm or something where there's a lot of trees. And she talks about later on having like hot houses or you know, raising vegetables, different things like that. So she definitely likes to work with the land, and she's tries to keep things simple and down to earth. And she says, you know, when she's with Cody, at the time when she was with Cody, they got along very well, and she didn't have a lot of complaints, and she was pretty easy, it seemed like, to get along with. So then it talks about, or then we go into episode 4 when it was Halloween basically, and the title was Carving into Polygamy. You know, they talk about what we're going to wear to go trick-or-treating. They go pick out pumpkins. You know, the kids are so excited because they go in this field with all these pumpkins. And of course, kids get big eyes and they want to get the biggest, brightest pumpkin that there is. And a couple of them drop their pumpkins, but they got like, I think they said 27 pumpkins so that they could carve them before people came to trick-or-treat at their home. So it was just like just watching them, and it was very enjoyable to watch Truly. You know, she's a baby, but they've got her picking pumpkins, and all the little kids, you know, they're now adults, so it's so cool to see them as little kids that they once were. But you can see all their little emotions and all their spirits and how they are with each other. It's so cute. And then Gabe comments on, oh, they're sitting on the couch and the kids are there. And Gabe comments on Brianna often cries for no reason. And then some of the kids, I think Maddie mentioned that she didn't see why they were crying. It seemed unnecessary to her. And then Papa Logan, or Big Brother Logan, he pops up and says he thinks that it's teaching the kids patience and understanding for what the kids are going through. You know, they did join this different lifestyle, really, because Robin was monogamous before they came into the Big Brown picture. And so that is a lot different, going from having a couple siblings to, what was it, 13 more siblings. So it's hard to find your place sometimes, and I could see where that could cause some anxiety, and so a little patience, I guess, would be good for the kids to learn. The kids are playing in leaves. They show that they're jumping in them. I remember as a kid, we used to rake up the leaves and jump in them before we bagged them up or burned them. So it looked like a good, happy time. And then it shows the trick-or-treating. The women were the 4 elements, and Cody, they got some red spray for his hair, and it ended up kind of looking orange, and he was like, I kind of look like a psycho clown, and a little bit true, but they look like they just had a really good time during that episode. And that's where I wanted to end for season 2, 1 through 4, on a good note, because there's always some not so great things that come up with the seasons. So let me think what you know. Let me know what you think. See how I get my words backward there. But it was good to look at all this and remember how they once were and how sweet the family seemed in the beginning, and especially in light of what's gone on recently. So let me know what you think. Have a great day. Thank you.